Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, this is the official Anthony Joshua versus Joseph Parker post-fight review. Now, I'm going to be very blunt about this fight. It was a fight that I talked about on YouTube for 2 years. I covered both these guys extensively on my channel. Big fans of both fighters, but honestly, honest to God, the fight not only underwhelmed, but it was a shit show. Now, I'm going to tell you guys why it's a shit show. Because most of you, who watched the fight, had a chance to see that referee tonight was terrible. One of the worst referees I've ever seen in my life. Now, I will say this. It was a fight that I think Joshua just barely edged. Because, let's start from the beginning, okay? First 3-4 rounds, nobody really landed that many significant shots. But I think Joseph Parker was dictating the pace of those rounds. Maybe not by landing his jab, but by simply just, using his jab as a rangefinder, doubling up on it, tripling up on it. And he kept Joshua at bay. Joshua looked cement-footed, and he was missing a lot of shots. And I would venture to say that you could give two of those first 4 rounds to Joseph Parker. Honestly, and by the way, I did not score this fight, so don't ask me my score. I didn't score the fight, but I thought Joseph Parker did a good job early on. Now, as the fight wore on, when we got to the 5th, 6th, 7th round, the middle rounds, that's why I thought Joseph Parker, that was the high point of the fight for him because, he was beginning to land the jab a little more on Joshua, had a couple nice counters, and more importantly, there were many instances, and I want to camp out on this for a second. There were instances in that fight, in that frame of time in the middle rounds where Parker was fighting on the inside, and he was having success. I saw him chop some nice shots to that body down low with Anthony Joshua on the inside, and I saw Anthony Joshua kind of gasp for air, and Joshua was very not just unpredictable from the outside and mid range, but definitely very very predictable on the inside because his basic strategy, what he was doing on the inside was simply either A, throwing an uppercut, or B, clinching and looking at the ref for help. That's what Joshua was doing on the inside. And it was just a very, from start to finish with Joshua, lackluster performance. I would even venture to say the most underwhelming performance of his career. Parker defensively looked really good in this fight. Honestly, I would have liked to see him do more. My thing is, a lot of people are gonna say, well, Parker should have did more. He was the road fighter. But the thing is, when he tried to do more, when he tried to go on the inside, he tried to fight more of his fight, he wasn't allowed to. And that's my gripe. I feel very cheated, disappointed that the referee took away from what I thought was going to be a good fight, So, it is what it is. Regardless of when Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua fight, I think Joseph Parker deserves a rematch because of the way he was kind of, I don't want to say robbed on the scorecards, but robbed in terms of not being able to fight his fight. And I think that's like, in some cases, that's the worst robbery. It's kind of like, when Mayweather fought Maidana the second time. Maidana had a lot of success in the first fight. In the second fight, Floyd was allowed to clinch excessively, and Kenny Bayless was okay with it, So that took away from that. They robbed Maidana from being himself in the ring. And I think that's what made it such a shitty fight, this fight. With that being said, Joshua was able to grind out the win. I think a couple of things that contributed to him winning this fight were, one, the referee not allowing Parker to work on the inside. Two, Parker was caught in his right eye by a Joshua elbow. So once that happened, I believe in the 8th or 9th round, his output of jabs, it just diminished dramatically from that point forward. So then he wasn't even the same fighter he was in the rounds where he was having success against Joshua. And those couple rounds that Joshua got, with Parker cut over the eye, were the rounds that I believe that he was able to win and give him that slight edge in this fight, for me at least. So, there was that. And then also I think the size advantage allowed him to land, more jabs than Parker. But just because, generally speaking, it's easier at times. Jabbing is not always about height, but, if you have the height and you can position yourself in a decent manner against your opponent, then you're always going to be in a better situation than your opponent. The shorter fighter always has to do more in terms of jabbing and positioning. So, That's what it is. As far as Parker's performance tonight, I think he has nothing to hang his head on, and then hang his head on. Honestly, he fought Anthony Joshua, a guy that he's coming off of stoppage victories against the likes of Carlos Takam, against Vladimir Klitschko, Dillian White. Was it Eric Molina? Some good, heavyweight champions, contenders, future Hall of Famers. And to be the first guy that goes 12 rounds with him, obviously you lost the fight, so we don't want to give you a pat on the back for losing. But it is something you could talk about. And it's not just that he won 12 rounds; it was the manner that he went in those 12 rounds. He had Joshua being very ineffective. Joshua could not find the range of the right hand. He was very reluctant to throw the right hand many times in the fight. And I think it was the footwork, the defense, the consistent commitment to the jab of Joseph Parker that rendered Joshua so ineffective for so long. But, sometimes in boxing, it's just not your way. And, this is what I find. I guess the one takeaway I have from this fight is that, and I want to tell you guys this, is fighters, and this doesn't matter if you're A level fighters, B level fighters, C level fighters, fighters, their levels of performance go up and down every fight. There's only a handful of great fighters that maintain the same level of greatness or even rise even higher than what they're accustomed to, from a fight to fight basis. That's why Pacquiao and Floyd are looked at as so great as they are. But we look at Parker, right? This Parker tonight was a much better version of the one that fought Ruiz, a much better version of the one that fought Huey Fury. And he was, in those fights, he didn't look so good. He was just that much better than the guys he was fighting on the night. And even though his level might if he was here in the Fury and Ruiz fights, he was definitely here in the Joshua fight. But the thing is, Joshua was just that much better than him. And that's the game of boxing in a nutshell. You can be much better from one fight to the next, but you still need to be just that much better than your opponent. And that's what happened tonight, So there's a lot of talk about Deontay Wilder now. A lot of people are salivating over that fight, and as they should. That's going to be for the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. Should it get made? And I'm looking at this fight, and the more I watch Joshua fight, the more and more I think Deontay Wilder has a chance because you look at some of the things Parker was able to do tonight. Using his foot speed, using his doubling up on his jab. These are some things that Deontay Wilder can do pretty well himself. But the difference between him and Parker is you're talking about more size and another level higher of knockout power. Probably the best one-punch knockout puncher in all boxing. That's what he has going for him. So if you're Wilder and look at this fight, against Parker, you got to be looking at your chops to fight him because there are things that Parker did in there tonight that I know Wilder can do. See what I'm saying? And then you're coming off the heels of a great fight against Ortiz. Now it's about making the fight happen. Joshua in his post-fight said that he has no plans to conquer America. To each his own. My take on that is, I actually like what he's doing. That he, because as you guys can see, all these posters behind me. Look at all these heavyweight champions that America has had. America has had such a stronghold on the heavyweight division for so long, and there's been a couple British heavyweight champions sprinkled in there. You had a dominant one in the likes of Lennox Lewis. You had another random title holder in the likes of Frank Bruno. But for the most part, Americans have always ran the heavyweight fight scene. So Joshua's trying to, put his people on, and you got to respect that. But it's up to Wilder to make the fight happen. Go over there and knock his ass out. Simple as that. I think he's capable of doing it. But it's about making the fight happen. He is the B side. As I said earlier this week, Deontay Wilder is the clear B side on this occasion. This is not Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. We can't differentiate who is the A side and whatnot. Wilder is the B side. He's someone that is not nearly as big of a draw as Anthony Joshua. Joshua now has more leverage, like I told you guys earlier in the week, if he wins his fight. Now he has that third belt. He has 3 of the 4 belts. There is no more attractive opponent for Wilder than Anthony Joshua. And if he's going to want to make that fight, he's going to have to make some concessions. And Joshua has made it very, very clear and is very adamant about not leaving the UK. So, all credit to him. Hopefully the fight gets made for the sake of boxing and the health of the sport because it's a fight we desperately need. And once the fight gets made, I hope the actual fight itself is exciting and not like this one that underwhelmed so much. So Anthony Joshua underwhelms. Look like shit tonight, honestly. He's gonna have to do, but he's gonna have to put in a better performance against Deontay Wilder, because I'm telling you right now, if he fights that way against Deontay Wilder, he'll get stopped. I have zero doubts about it. Yeah, he was able to grind out a decision against Joseph Parker. I would like to see Joseph Parker get the rematch, and I still want to see him in there with the top heavyweights. If Eddie Hearn is interested in pushing Jarrell Miller, I think a big step up fight for Jarrell Miller once he's ready. If Joshua doesn't want to fight in America, then Jarrell Miller's first big step up fight should be against a guy like Joseph Parker. I think that's the fight that should happen, and it makes a lot of sense because at one point in time, that was a fight that could have happened. Jarrell Miller was really highly ranked at the WBO. So with that being taken into account and that being said, that's my take on the fight tonight. Sorry if I have no energy, because I really just feel like I was robbed, cheated, and Joseph Parker, I felt like he was robbed of not being able to fight, his style of fight. And to me, no disrespect to Eddie Hearn, no disrespect to Matchroom Boxing or any Joshua UK fans out there, but I think it's utter bullshit, and I'm gonna leave it at that. So Anthony Joshua was able to grind out a good 12-round unanimous decision victory, and he gets that third WBO belt. I'll have more reaction of this fight, in the next hour or so on the channel. So once you guys watch this video, be on the lookout for my Google Hangout coming up. I'll probably be on for an hour, maybe two, talking about this fight, talking to you guys. And that being said, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like I say in every video, you could love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys.